All right, welcome back. I've sort of moved things around a little bit, and hopefully we can catch this all at once. So I'm going to stoop down a little bit. Maybe I should sit on the saddle. So if you look at this saddle here, we're looking at the horn. We've got actually some split in the horn. So a child decided to actually take this horn and pull the threads, and luckily it didn't damage the horn. As far as the leather work. Okay, so if you have this kind of issue with your saddle, two things that I want you to watch for is when you look at the holes, make sure that none of them are split. If you have a tear in your horn from the front to the back, then you're going to have the whole horn leather replaced. If we're actually going to just do the holes, that's not a problem at all. But it's when they start splitting or ripping. This is really the importance actually of keeping a saddle healthy as far as the conditioning of the saddle. So if you keep the saddle conditioned, these holes can stay supple, the leather can stay supple, and then most likely the holes will not tear. Now, I had this client bring this saddle in, and we're going to repair that, and you're looking at, depending on the leathersmith, for me, it'll only cost about $25 to fix for her. But we have other things that we need to fix for her. I try to keep the cost down as much as I can because horses are expensive. We all know that, right? But the question I brought up to her, because this saddle actually is, if we look at it, it's actually very dry. It's extremely dry. And so I asked her how she conditioned her saddle, and she said that she sprays it off with a hose. And so many people have actually talked about spraying off with a hose. I would not recommend that. If you want to do it and you don't care too much about your saddle's leather, and I know that a lot of people have been taught that way, a couple of factors in that is one, that hose water is actually has a lot of chemicals coming through it because it's not an RV hose most likely. RV hose are meant for drinking, so they're made so that the chemicals don't release into that water, so that it's drinkable, it's potable, right? So that's one of the elements. And the other element with hoses is when you hose off, there's two actually. When you hose off a saddle or any leather, then if it's got if you're doing it off of a tap, but any sink or any outside faucet, you're going to end up with little black spots all over the place. And why are those black spots there? It's called minerals. So years and years ago, I had asked my leather mentor why one of my projects, my lighter projects, had all these black dots all over it. And what he had basically said was, you used tap water. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? And he said there's minerals in the tap water, which will then adhere to your leather, and you will have a spotted piece of leather. Now, if you have a dark saddle and you don't care, that's fine. If it's not a problem, it will affect if you try to go sell it and it is a lighter saddle, it gives a little bit of a blemish to it. Not only that, if you're putting straight water onto your leather, you're actually causing the leather to become dry almost immediately upon the leather drying. Remember, leather is skin. What happens when you go out in the sun and you stay out in the sun and you put water on yourself and you burn, right? Okay, so skin has different elements to it. Now, when we put water on leather, it just makes it drier and harder, especially if you're putting it out in the sun. So if you're going to do that and you like to do that, make sure that you condition your saddle or your leather pieces after they dry. Because if you don't, then over time, that will begin to crack and actually become so stiff that you won't be able to refurbish it back to its suppleness. And that's a couple tips about not only your horn, but also trying to take care of your leather. And I do sell products for your leather as far as conditioning and refurbishing and all that kind of stuff. So if you've anything that you need, please let me know, and we'll try to help you with the next video. Thanks. Have a great day now.